If you watched my last video, you already know the hard truth. Most football cards will never hold meaningful long-term value. Not because they're ugly, not because the players were bad, not because nobody cared when they were released. They fail because most cards are not built to remain important over time. And that's the key. Because once you understand that, the next question becomes a lot more useful. What actually does hold value in football cards? Not what spikes for 6 months, not what gets pumped on release week, not what every breaker is yelling about this weekend. I'm talking about what has the best chance to stay relevant years from now. Because if you're going to put real money into football cards, you need more than excitement. You need a framework. And that's what this video is. This is not a list of buy these now. This is not financial advice. And this is definitely not me telling you every expensive card is a good investment. This is a filter. The traits, the structure, the reason certain football cards keep mattering while thousands of others slowly disappear into boxes, binders, and bargain bins. So today, I want to lay out what actually holds value in football cards, and just as important, why. One of the biggest mistakes people make in this hobby is assuming value is random. They see one card explode, another card stagnate, a third card collapse, and it feels chaotic, but the market is not as random as it looks. Underneath all the noise, football cards usually hold value for a very few specific reasons. Not all of them, not even most of them, but the cards that do survive long term usually share some combination of the same traits. They belong to important players. They come from important sets. They have important status within those sets. They are scarce in a way collectors actually respect. And they carry the kind of hobby recognition that lasts beyond a single market cycle. That's what we're really tracking, not price alone. Importance. Because long-term value in football cards usually follows long-term importance. And when card loses importance, the value usually goes with it. Let's start with the most obvious piece. The player still matters. A lot. You can have a beautiful card. Low serial number, great design, high grade, perfect patch, on-card auto. But if the player doesn't remain historically important, the card has a hard ceiling. Because over time, the market gets more selective. And when collectors become selective, they stop paying serious money for very good. They pay for greatness, legacy, mythology, championships, records, icon status. That's why the hobby keeps circling back to the same names. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Walter Payton, Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Barry Sanders. Not because there aren't other great players, but because the hobby eventually concentrates value into players with lasting historical gravity. That doesn't mean only quarterbacks matter, but it does mean that in football, quarterbacks usually have the widest runway for sustained value because they dominate the sport's history, storytelling, and trophy hierarchy. At the end of the day, player importance is the foundation. If the player fades from the larger football story, most of the cardboard fades too. And this is where people get tripped up. A player can be great and still not be a strong long-term card market asset. That sounds harsh, but it's true. The hobby does not reward greatness evenly. There are Hall of Famers with weak card markets. There are beloved stars with thin long-term demand. There are players with incredible careers whose cards simply do not command lasting collector urgency. Why? Because football card value is not built on talent alone. It's built on some mix of legacy, cultural relevance, collector mythology, team popularity, era, position, highlight reel identity, and whether the hobby has decided that player belongs in the permanent conversation. That's why good player is not enough. Great career is not enough. Even Hall of Famer is not enough. The players whose card truly hold value are usually the ones who remain unavoidable. If you cannot tell the story of football without them, that's where it starts getting interesting. Now let's move to the second layer, because a player can matter and the card can still not matter enough. This is where set importance comes in. Some sets have hobby memory, some don't. Some brands become part of football card history, others are just product. That distinction matters a lot. Collectors don't just buy players, they buy landmarks. Certain sets become the default places where collectors want to own a player. Not every Tom Brady rookie matters equally. Not every Mahomes rookie matters equally. Not every Jerry Rice card matters equally. Because some sets carry more weight than others. They may be the definitive rookie issue, the aspirational brand, the flagship chromium release, the premium autograph release, the set with lasting identity, the set the hobby keeps returning to again and again. That's why brands like Topps Chrome, Prism, National Treasures, Contenders, and certain vintage flagship issues matter so much. They're not just cards, they're hobby reference points. And when a set becomes a reference point, the best cards inside that set gain staying power. This is one of the biggest concepts in the entire video. For a football card to really hold value, it usually needs a clear place in the hierarchy. Collectors need to know what it is, not vaguely, not sort of, clearly. Is it the rookie card people actually care about? Is it the flagship rookie? Is it the premium rookie patch auto? Is it the iconic chromium rookie? Is it the top autograph issue? Is it the Grail parallel? Is it the best known rookie from the brand that defines that era? Clarity matters. Because when markets get weak, collectors stop reaching for random. They move toward the cards that are the easiest to explain and hardest to replace. That's why cards with the cleanest identity usually survive best. A 2000 playoff contenders championship ticket Tom Brady has a clear identity. A 2017 Prism Silver Patrick Mahomes has a clear identity. A 1986 Topps Jerry Rice rookie has a clear identity. A 2000 Bowman Chrome Tom Brady has a clear identity. When the card's place in the hobby is obvious, demand becomes more durable. When the card is ambiguous, the market gets fragile. Now let's talk about scarcity, because this is where modern collectors get trapped all the time. Not all scarcity is meaningful. A card being numbered to 25 does not automatically make it important. A card being a case hit does not automatically make it desirable. A card being hard to pull does not automatically make it a long-term asset. There is a huge difference between real scarcity and useless scarcity. Real scarcity is when a card is both hard to find and widely respected. Useless scarcity is when a card is hard to find, but not enough people care. That distinction is everything. A random 4th tier parallel numbered to 10 can be technically scarce and still not matter much long term. Why? Because scarcity only works when demand has somewhere durable to attach itself. What holds value is not scarcity by itself, it's recognized scarcity. Scarcity inside of an important player, inside of an important set, inside of an important card archetype. Inside a hierarchy the hobby understands. That's when scarcity starts to mean something, not when the back says 3 of 10. This is another principle people underestimate. The football card market rewards recognition. Collectors want cards that collectors recognize, not because they can't think for themselves, but because recognizable cards have stronger liquidity, stronger consensus, and stronger long-term visibility. That matters. If you own a card that serious collectors immediately understand, you're in a much stronger position than if you own something obscure that requires a 5-minute explanation every time you show it. Recognition creates market confidence. It helps when people buy, it helps when people sell, it helps when people compare, it helps when people rank, it helps when people build collections around shared benchmarks. This is why hobby famous cards keep showing up over and over again. Not just because they're good, because they're known. And in collectibles, being known is part of what creates value. Let's talk about condition. Condition absolutely matters, but condition is not magic. A high grade does not turn a weak card into a strong one. It usually just makes a weak card a cleaner weak card. This is one of the easiest mistakes in the hobby, confusing grade with importance. A PSA 10 on the wrong card does not fix the wrong card, but on the right card, condition can be a major value driver, especially when the set is difficult, especially when the card is old, especially when the high grade supply is meaningfully limited, especially when collectors already care deeply about the base card. That's why condition matters most when it intensifies demand for something that already has strong fundamentals. In other words, grade is an amplifier. It is usually not the reason the card matters, it's the reason the card matters even more. So if we step back, what kind of football cards tend to hold value best? usually some version of these: vintage cornerstone rookies of historically important players, flagship rookie cards that become hobby standards, iconic chromium rookies, premier autograph rookies with clear hierarchy, truly important parallels from already important cards, low pop, high recognition grails tied to legacy level players, and cards that sit at the intersection of history, scarcity, and hobby memory. That intersection matters, because the strongest football cards are usually not just rare, not just old, not just expensive. They are important in multiple ways at once. That's what separates real long-term anchors from temporary hobby noise. And this is where the framework gets useful, because once you understand what tends to hold value, you'll also start seeing what usually doesn't. Cards that usually struggle long-term include overproduced cards of non-elite players, parallels with no lasting hierarchy, autographs from sets nobody will care about in 10 years, rookie cards that are technically rookies, but not the rookie anyone actually wants, cards that rely entirely on short-term hype, cards whose only selling point is low numbering, cards from crowded modern ecosystems where too many versions compete for the same demand, and cards that don't hold a clear place in the collector memory of the hobby. That doesn't mean nobody will ever buy them. It doesn't mean they can't spike. It doesn't mean they can't enjoy them. It just means they are usually weak candidates for durable value. And that distinction matters if you're buying with long-term seriousness. So here's the clean framework I want you to remember. When you look at football card, ask 5 questions. Does the player truly matter historically? Not just was he good, not just did he have a moment. Does he have a lasting football importance? Does the set matter? Is this from a brand or release with actual hobby memory and long-term credibility? Does the card have a clear identity? Can collectors quickly understand what it is and why it matters? Is the scarcity meaningful? Not just low-numbered, meaningful, recognized, respected, difficult in a way the market actually cares about. Will people still want this exact card from years from now? Not this player in general, not this brand in general, this exact card. If you cannot answer those questions well, you should be careful, because in football cards, long-term value usually comes from stacking advantages, not hoping one surface-level feature carries the whole thing. Think about the cards the hobby keeps returning to. The 1986 Topps Jerry Rice rookie. Why does it matter? Because Jerry Rice matters. The card is a recognized rookie. It has hobby memory. It has historical weight. Its place in the hierarchy is obvious. Or take 2000 Bowman Chrome Tom Brady. Same thing. Brady's legacy is untouchable. Bowman Chrome carries hobby relevance. The card is recognizable. The market understands it immediately. Or 2000 Playoff Contenders Championship Ticket Brady. Now you add elite scarcity to an already important player and an already important rookie issue, and suddenly you're dealing with one of the clearest grails in modern football cards. Or 2017 Prism Mahomes. Why does the market care so much? Because Mahomes matters. Prism matters. The rookie year identity is clear. The hierarchy is widely understood. And the best versions of that card fit into a recognized collector framework. That's the point. The biggest cards are usually not random winners. They score well across multiple categories at once. The longer I spend in this hobby, the more I think value comes down to selectivity. Not buying more, buying clearer. Not chasing every release. Understanding which cards actually have structural reasons to matter. Not confusing activity with conviction. And not mistaking entertainment for durability, because football cards are fun. They should be fun. But if you care about value, you have to be more selective than the average collector. You have to be willing to say, that card is cool, but it probably won't matter in 10 years. That player had a great run, but the market may never treat him like a permanent pillar. That parallel is rare, but not important. That grade is high, but the card underneath is weak. And on the other side, this card has history, this set has memory, this player has legacy, this exact issue has a real place in the hobby. That is what you want to train your eye to see. So what actually holds value in football cards? Usually the cards with the strongest combination of player importance, set importance, clear hierarchy, meaningful scarcity, collector recognition, and long-term historical relevance. That's the real answer. Not hype, not buzz, not numbered for the sake of numbered, not this feels hot right now. The cards that hold value best are usually the ones that remain important after the excitement wears off. And that's where I think the hobby gets more interesting, because once you stop asking what's moving right now and start asking what will still matter later, you begin to see football cards differently. Cleaner, sharper, more honestly. And that's the entire point of Pigskin Portfolio. Not to chase noise, to identify what actually matters. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Pigskin Portfolio, because this channel is about football cards through the lens of history, markets, and long-term significance. And if you want, drop a comment. What football card do you think best holds value long-term, and why? I'll see you in the next one.